not a software development standard. And it provides you the software assurance using, the focus is on things like traceability. As you move from one phase to the next, how do you ensure that the traceability is established so that you are not missed out anything, you are not doing anything extra. Okay, both are unwanted. Okay, so that's the kind of a thing that you always try to focus on. So traceability is one very important thing that is stressed upon. Second is the verification objectives. In fact, out of the 66 objectives, I think about 40 of them are related to verification. Okay, so there's a lot of focus on the verification part, which includes testing.
Traceability is a part of the standard or it is a part of a guideline?
See, again here, DO-178B will give you the guideline, and as part of guideline, it stresses a lot on traceability part. Now, how do you achieve or how do you ensure traceability? You might have developed it as part of any standard that either internally you would have built a standard as part of your life cycle model, or you would have adopted something from the industry. Okay, but you have to finally ensure that this objective is met. Okay, so that is the thing. How you do it? You may use automated tools, you may use checklists, you may just want to go with the people's confidence and past experience. It's up to you. Finally, you have to justify and say that yes, I have this confidence and this is the proof that I have done this traceability. Okay, so that's the key thing. Okay. Key to accomplishing testing correctly to meet the objectives in a cost-effective manner, again that's where there is a constant focus on requirements. Anything that we do, all verifications always are based on requirement. Okay, so this is another important thing. In fact, why I am stressing this again when we look at the various projects that we are involved into, the way the development fraternity typically looks at. Okay, see somewhere we are given, like when we go in for doing any validation or even doing testing, we are given the source code and say, okay, you carry out the testing. How do I write the test cases? Look at the code and write the test cases. Right? I mean, this is a common thing, right? And this is where we have to shift. We have to see that. DO-178B focuses on requirements-based testing. In fact, there is an objective which says writing test cases, looking at the requirement itself confirms that the requirements are complete, they are consistent. So that's why writing of test cases is not an interim activity to execute the test. Writing of test cases itself is to ensure that or to validate that the test cases or the requirements are complete and consistent. Then execution, yes, for execution you may use those test cases. Okay, so that way there is a focus. Alright? Okay, so now let us look at the organization of DO-178B. Again, I have also mentioned the section numbers so that when you refer to the document, you know where the things are. There is something known as system aspects relating to software development. See, finally, software forms part of a system, so there is a lot of inputs that are needed for software from the system point of view. So it addresses that. It tells you how the system information is made available or can be made available for software, and how software, whatever is developed or under development, what information can be given back so that there is a proper interaction between the overall system and the software under consideration. There is also a section number 10, which talks about the aircraft engine certification related aspects. And then coming to the software side, you have the software lifecycle process. Overall life cycle is discussed in section 3. Planning process is in section 4. Again, DO-178B guidelines stress a lot on the planning part of it. Then the software development processes are described in section 5. You have what we call them as integral processes. That means the processes which span across the complete life cycle of software activity, which involve verification process, configuration management process, quality assurance process, and the certification liaison process. Okay. Section 11 talks about the life cycle data, or typically the output that is expected from these processes. When we execute or we carry out this process, when we implement the project under those processes, there is certain data that is expected, okay, which could be used by other life cycle process, or it could be used by the certifying agency for verification, for anything. Okay, so those are all described in section 11. And there are other considerations which are more specific in nature are also covered in section 12. Okay, so this is the broad things that what we look at. All right. Yeah. So this is what I have already explained. Let me see. I had one other thing. Yeah. So this same thing, is also put it in a slightly different angle. Maybe can be a little more detailed. So we have the planning process. Planning process has, it generates certain plans. Generally, we are familiar with SDP, the software development plan. We are familiar with software configuration management plan, and the QA plan and verification plan. Of in other standard we call it as test plans, because the STPs. These are generally we are familiar with. Plan for software aspects of certification. This is something that is new when we talk about DO-178B. And this is the plan which we put together in terms, it's like your blueprint of the complete program. How do you take this software for certification? What are you going to see at the end? What are you committing to the certifying agencies? Okay, so it could be FA, it could be SEMILAC, it could be DGAQ, whatever is the certifying agency for each one of those. What is that you are committing that you are going to deliver? All that is available in, we call it as PSAC, okay, Plan for Software Aspects of Certification. This is something new, which was not there in the earlier thing that you are generally used to. This slide is not there in the handouts. See, end of the program, on the last day we will be also giving you CDs. We should, we'll put this also into that, as well as we'll also share the templates, etc., which could be useful to you in your projects. Okay. And then you have software development process, requirements process, design process, coding process, integration process. Okay. Then the integral process, that is the verification process, SCM process, SQA process, and the certification process. Okay, so that will go in parallel with the development process. Okay. Again, you will see different levels of requirements getting worked out. You have the design, your source code, object code, linking data, loading data, etc., etc. as the things. Okay, so these are
low-level requirements are generated during the design, right?
Yeah. See, I think that's right. Low-level requirements are generated during the design. That's right. Okay. Now again, see here, sometimes, so that's why this particular thing is done with a different context. In fact, in that there is no design phase. Okay, so DO-178B allows for that. Okay, so you can have a requirement phase. From requirement phase, you can move to coding phase also. That's also possible. So in requirement phase, you can have a detailed requirement or low-level requirements also both of them. Again, that is your life cycle model. Okay, but yes, from a normal whatever based on our experience, what we would see is yes, low-level requirements get attached to design, and that's where it should. So that's the alright.
But the problem is here, what I have seen in the 498 standard, they mostly suggest a waterfall method. In waterfall method, you cannot jump to a different cycle unless you are finishing the one which you are currently on.
Yes.
So this will be only possible if you are on the incremental or in the iterative model or in the say other models. will not be correct with respect to what the standards are currently available.
See, that's why, like, I would not like to again state anything which is more prescriptive in nature. You have to see what is meaningful to you. Yes, definitely, this model, this guideline, can address even the latest, so even the agile methodology also can be put in here. Okay, see, that is the beauty of it. Whereas when you look at 498 or 122, I mean, 12207 also, though 12207 also gives you different life cycle models possibility. But 2167A and 498 typically focus on the waterfall or the intermittent models. Okay, so that's what we look at.
Here, the planning process, I think
Yes,
you should probably add the standards also to it, software standards.
We could. See, generally what happens is standards are mentioned as part of the development plan or any of those. I mean, when you look at, again it is up to you, either you want to have different artifacts separated out or you want to bring them under the umbrella document. Okay, so that way, so you will have certain standards in development plans, certain standards in verification plans. So there will be standards across the whole things. Can be there.
So the doubt I have is,
Sorry.
is it the standards that derive the plans are derived from the standards, or the standards are derived from the plans?
Okay. No, actually, it's like, you have to write, develop the plans based on your standards. Okay, I mean, the standards may include even templates or even your life cycle standard itself. But then the choice of standard, you should choose the standard such that it meets the objectives of DO-178. You choose whatever standard you want. Okay, it should meet the objectives of 178. Okay, the template, the structure of the format of the template will come from the standard. Okay, so that's why if you have to take it from there, yes, it is derived from that standard, because there is a template, standard template that is given as part of the standard that you have chosen. But you need to ensure that the standard you have chosen meets all the objectives of 178.
It means all the phases of the development standards should cover with this DO-178.
Objectives of DO-178 at the level at which that project has been positioned.
Means 100% compliance to both standards. Then
You
only
have
we
to
will-
establish the evidence that this is how you are meeting the objectives of DO-178B, and by following this standard. It may be your own standard. And when we say standard, after all, what we are talking about, it may be the templates, it may be the checklist, it may be the way, the flow itself, the life cycle itself, all that you define. And while defining, you should be able to justify that, okay, by doing this I am meeting all the objectives at the required level. Okay?